Welcome to the stream. Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome to the stream. My name is Jason. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was streaming yesterday nonstop. Welcome to the
Hello and
podcast.
welcome to the SYWB podcast, where the first
Sit.
14 minutes don't matter because we were messing around.
Oh gosh. Hey. Don't hit the mic.
Welcome, where
Don't
we
hit-
talk about the drama of the restaurant industry, but never the who or the where because it doesn't really matter. I'm Dylan,
And I'm Jason.
and this is the SYWB podcast. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing fantastic. 14 minutes of nothing.
First things first. Oh, it's all going in.
Oh,
First
yeah.
things. It's not. This is the first time where it's not actually going in because that was way too long. Way too much faff. Way too much faff.
Mm-hmm.
First things first. We're gonna get Texas talk out the way because I'm not gonna keep talking about Texas
Texas. Oh,
because I didn't get to finish
more
last time.
stories. Oh, okay.
No, not more stories. Just I want to finish the thought because I should have just finished it last week, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit. Within 4 or 5 hours of being in Austin, I've traveled kind of a little bit. Yeah, I've traveled a little bit. I drove in 2017. I drove from here to Montana, and then from Montana to Vegas, and then from Vegas back to here, Atlanta. So I went through a lot of places. We stopped a lot of places, and I felt like I've always wanted to go back to Montana. I think it's the best looking state. I've never been to Alaska though.
How would you describe Montana? Like full of forests.
No,
Small
it's flat
town
country,
vibes?
mountains,
Oh,
almost no trees,
okay.
very little trees.
Oh, so it's like a flat, wide open space kind of.
Yeah. If you think of like cowboy or modern day cowboys like Yellowstone, it's like that with less trees.
Oh, yeah. When you mentioned Montana, my brain like had a whole blank to it. Like I couldn't
Next
even
to Washington
imagine.
State, it's the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
square one.
I don't think I ever
Touches
looked
Canada.
at actual Montana in any way. Like I don't think I ever Googled it, so I don't even know how to describe it.
I went to Glacier National Park. It's the best state I've ever seen. Or driving through all those states, it was the best looking state. Anyway, personally for me, not once did I think, like legitimately think, I could move here. Well, what would it take to move here? Within 5 hours of being in Austin, I was like, okay, well I'm gonna move here. That's what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this is not a joke. This is not a bit for the podcast. My first thought was, oh, but how would it mean Jason could do the podcast if I'm in Austin?
Oh my gosh.
Not like, would my girlfriend move with me? Not
Yeah, how am I gonna find a job?
all the
Am I gonna be
films.
financially stable being here?
It was
What's the economy
it
like?
was. Oh, but we just started the podcast. That was what I thought. Anyway,
Such a caring man.
but then about the wrong things.
Yeah.
Flying back here. So what it was just the feeling of that city, and I met a communist named Cupcake. That was pretty cool.
That's a good transition. Do you want to talk about Kick the Communist?
Oh, there's no story really. We were at a bar.
Okay.
We had a famous kind of bar called Casino El Camino, and is just he was really helpful. Like he didn't even like. I saw him once, didn't introduce. I was in the line ordering. I went upstairs. We played pool, and he asked me to help him grab something because he couldn't reach it. I was like, "Cool, sure." And he said, "Thanks. I'm Cupcake the communist, by the way." It didn't get exactly like that, but it was pretty much like that. And that's the only. And then I got his Instagram, and it's him like I think it's like doing a muscle pose in front of a communist flag. So I guess it wasn't much the people. It was more just the feeling of the place and the food. The food was really the big thing. Like I I enjoy food more than I thought I did. Like, I went there to go for food. Like I was doing an Anma podcast food tour is what I was doing. We went to 8 different restaurants. I think I talked about this last time. I don't remember exactly. Um, 8 different places, not all restaurants.
Mhm.
And long story short, because we should probably talk about the
The
actual
main
stuff of the
objective,
yeah.
yes. Do you have?
I don't want to move. I'm not going to move to Austin
Oh, okay. All
because
that talk.
that's what I'm saying. Because you can go to the wide here. because I'm obviously I'm trying to make videos and movies and YouTube and stuff and all this stuff, and I feel like if I well, apparently it's pretty easy to live there because a lot of jobs pay a good amount to live there. Like they move the jobs move their pay based on what's going on in the economy in Austin specifically. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
talked to a bartender about. She was like, "Yeah, it's pretty easy to live here," and she was like, "Yeah, it's kind of expensive. You know, I pay $1,000 for an apartment." I'm like, $1,000? Yeah, but I have one roommate. Do you know how hard it is to find an apartment here for $2,000
Very hard.
in Atlanta?
Uh, extremely, extremely hard. Even in Florida, I only got lucky, and I still had to recruit 2 other
And she was
roommates
like
for that.
living in the city. So I was like, people talk about how Austin's expensive. Maybe to buy a house, like millions of dollars, but or a one
I
point
don't
something
think
million
I think
dollars.
it's one of those things where, like, it's expensive, but if you live there and that's all you know, yes, it's expensive. But
That's not the
compare
thing. It
it to
is
everything outside,
'cause
then
I went to 8 places that day. I only spent $200 on food for 2 people.
see, now that's really good.
To be fair, most of the times we ordered one meal, but sometimes
I
we didn't.
I just went out for drinks for one night with someone, and the bill was already what, like, a 130.
For you?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We could have spent more, but it
But that's
wasn't.
the thing, you coulda spent more. As for me, I didn't even get to spend the actual money what it was for, it was just for the drinks.
Yeesh.
And then after that, that's when it accumulated with the food and the dessert, and I think that racked up to, like, 290, I think.
I think you went to to bad places, Jason. That's I've never spent 290.
No.
But like
Well,
out
no,
here, like I
granted, I
spent.
mean, no, I went out for a good place.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, decent high, almost high level end.
Uh,
Decent to high, only because I like the person.
we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, of
But
course.
so I was just self-reflecting on the flight and everything on the way back, and instead of trying to move to a new place that feels good, I feel like I should make Atlanta feel good because I really haven't looked around like I did in Austin.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think
So
actually
the phrase I've been using is I want to make Atlanta my Austin.
oh, I don't know about that, but good luck with that one.
Like I
But
want to find
do you mean, like, like, energy-wise, that's
yeah,
what you want?
I want to find good places to eat. I want to see cool places to hang out.
Mhm.
I want to maybe I should talk to people for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, let's say you're finally getting out of your shell.
Um,
It's a very hard thing to do,
nah, it's fine.
but,
I used to do it
um,
a lot before the pandemic. I would go out all the time.
yeah. Well, it's not just that, it's just it's the I mean, I mean, I think a lot of this generation is going through a lot of it, and it's, having that flow of life, essentially. You wake up, you go to work, you do what you do, then you clock out, and you try to go have a life. I think essentially the big issue that a lot of people have is realizing that even though a lot of places are kind of open to anyone to come in, it's supposed to be meant to be a social environment. It's going to be based on the individual of how social that environment is to them. So when I started going out when I first moved to Georgia, it was super super difficult. I think this was the first time in a long time that I felt genuine anxiety for myself rather than anxiety for all the things that was happening in the past. And in that moment, it clicked on me like how bad I really was at everything, from just ordering a drink to getting food to even trying to describe a taste. It was so bad. It was a no, it was generally horrible because I felt like someone who didn't know how to speak the English language. So I knew then I was like I need to get myself together. And even now I still struggle with it, you know. But now it's just like I just want to get money so I can actually start affording things that I want, than rather than the things I need.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been for the last year and a half. It's been clock out and go to work for me for the filming stuff. Like I edit every night that I go back home, and then I go sleep at 2, and that's it. I don't go out except for you and me went to Taco Mac one time.
Yeah.
But no, so I didn't explain this exactly. I want to go back. I was afraid that if I moved to Austin and and continued doing what I'm doing, yeah, there's people there to work with, but there's also people here, and I'd be afraid. Like I'm already afraid about seeming like a copycat with some of the stuff that I do. It's just because I like the reason I watch it is because I like it, and so I'm gonna do the things I
Oh
like.
no, you're always going to be a copycat at first. That's always everyone's biggest issue when it comes to like stepping
Yeah.
into something that they want to pursue.
So my worry is if I'm in Austin, feeling the same things they're feeling and all that stuff, experiencing the same things, oh, that's fine. I'm gonna just become them, which isn't exactly what I want. So I'd rather experience stuff here and make that change my film and stuff instead of
As long as you
copying them exactly and where they are. I want to make
as long
again
as you're consistent in that idea.
up to me make Atlanta my Austin. I think that's gonna be the title. That's why I keep saying it. Shut your mouth. Yeah, now I
Okay,
gotta
don't
change
even
your
start with the
voice.
filter.
No, no, I like. Hopefully, we'll hear like little bits of you in the background because I like the laughing and like it's if it echoes through and we hear laughing. That's what I want in the background. Sounds
Yeah,
funny.
no. As for me, that's
What
the
if the
thing.
AC the guy just comes in and he sees all this shit?
The AC guy. Oh, that's right. We do have an AC guy who's supposed to check out the AC.
Action.
Yeah, I oh, that's just what?
For those who didn't hear him, he said,
I
"Get
don't.
up
I
and start doing
let's
it
not
donut
repeat it.
style."
Let's not repeat it.
Oh, it's too late. I'm not bleeping that out.
This is disturbing.
I haven't even had a donut yet.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, yeah. I genuinely forgot what we were talking
Did you have
about.
this one?
No.
It is a maple. It's a maple donut. There was bacon on
Okay.
it. I got it without bacon. This
There's
actually has a piece of
bacon
bacon in it.
on it.
Bacon maple is what they make. This is just the maple. I got it without
This
bacon.
is true American.
Didn't know we were racist already. That was quick.
How do you eat donut? I mean, it's bad enough I ate like two.
Oh yeah, one thing I was gonna say
Like
again.
body hurts now.
Not eating on. Oh, you talk because I'm not really eating on mic.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I genuinely forgot what we were talking about. My
Make
mind ran a
Atlanta my
blank
Austin.
after that. Oh yeah, making Atlanta your Austin. Yeah. It is always going to be a scary mentality, and I know everybody feels that way when it comes to moving to new places or just trying to make something that's a home. But it's there's always a possibility, and there's always going to be a sense of enjoyment just trying to get to that place.
And I've already done. I've already started it. I've already went to one pizza place to try to find like good food around with a
Mm-hmm.
friend. You met him.
Yeah, but I didn't
May
know
have to
you want
bleep
to say
that.
names. Yeah.
I would. Damn it, I do have to bleep that. Went with him. It was good. It's good pizza. It was I think a 7.5 out of 10 because the service kind of sucked. Like the people were fine, but you couldn't. There's no you could. So he doesn't eat pork, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't take the pork off a pizza. They wouldn't allow it. Even you can watch them make the pizza. Like that's the bit is you would sit there and watch them make the pizza, but they couldn't. It's like McDonald's level of service. No additions, no subtractions on any of the. You have to order it as it is. That's it. I'm paying $28 for a large pizza.
Oh, I
I
know.
should be able to take something off of it.
I think I know what they're doing.
No, just
I think the pizza sauce, red sauce mechanic, they use bone, porks, either pork bones
that's not what it
to
was. No,
marinate
no,
it.
they had meatballs that had pork in it, and we were like, "Can we just get? Oh, we'll just get that without the meatballs because it sounded good." And she was like, "Sorry, we can't take the
Can you
meatballs."
get like a cheese pizza then?
We got pizza. I'm saying we couldn't order that one because they couldn't just not do meatballs. Like it was like meatballs, this and this and this. I was like, "Oh, let's just get it without the meatballs." Because she's we asked, "Oh, is the pork in the meatballs?" She's like, "Yeah." Oh, we'll just do that without the meatballs. And she's like, "Sorry, they don't want to. They don't want to do that." What do you mean? You can't take anything off of it. They don't want to cook it like that. And it wasn't her. She was like winking
Oh
like
no,
it's
I
the
get it
cooks.
now.
Like like she was a hostage.
Yeah,
She
no,
seemed
yeah, I
disappointed
understand.
in having to say that. She was like, "Yeah, you can't. They don't want to do that." That's how she phrased it. Is they don't want to do that.
Thank you. No, oh, no, I get
What is
what
it
you're saying
called?
then.
Oh, I forget.
Yeah, so no substitution in that mentality. So a fresh pie isn't impossible because they want to make it the way it was sold.
No,
I
I'm
think
saying they cook them to order. It's cooked to order.
no, exactly. I think
They
the issue
refuse
with
to.
that is just only because of payments, which I think is kind of dumb. I went to a few
No, it's
places
not.
where they were like,
No, it's because the cooks didn't want to adjust the menu.
I know.
It's not payment. I know what you mean.
That's why I was gonna explain it to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just because when it comes to selling, even the restaurants that I even worked in, they tend to do this during the mornings. No substitutions, no modifications, only because they don't want to deal with the customer being like, well, if I got this with 4 out of the 5 toppings, well then,
Yeah,
do I have to pay for that last topping? When in reality, there really shouldn't be too much of an issue. But the restaurants slash company will make it an issue, and just
That's
go to
funny.
the bottom line, being like, "Well, no, nothing on that then."
It's across the street from McDonald's. Um, yeah, I know that's why they did it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's dumb. You're paying $28 for pizza, you should get it how you want it.
Oh, exactly. No, it's very dumb.
It
Very, very
was
dumb.
Antico Pizza. Put them on blast. It's good. It's good. So the pizza, I rated the
Antico.
pizza at an 8, and then the service brought it down to a 7.5 as the experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because yeah, service is important in every restaurant, even if it is supposed to be like in and out, like Chinese places where it's just like no tables, no chairs. You go pick up the food and you leave. Even their service is very important.
Yeah, it's just like I enjoy flexibility and stuff, and it's like I think so. They got a New York Times article written about them. I think ever since then they started changing, doing stuff like they got too busy or something because it's a really small place. It's a pretty small place.
Oh yeah, whenever actually, I will say that. I guess that's question number one for everyone here. If you ever worked at a restaurant that has actually earned the rewards, like best restaurant 2017 or top one choice, all that stuff. Do you believe the article when you actually look at it, or and do you actually compare that year to this year? Would you stop doing that?
Not the porn. No,
I don't say it like that.
no. Did you remember?
But
Oh my
but
god,
do
last
you
week
do
you haven't
you
seen the episode. 80% porn.
do you
I
yes.
found a porn here, and I went off on it for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm just holding it like the fold out. I'm just holding it up like this. You can't see nothing. If you do, I have to blur it out. But it's so funny because it's just sitting here. It's his main. I didn't think that through about the stickiness of the papers, did I? I thought it was just sugar, like from donut hands. Oh.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
Well,
That's
yeah, I had to get them
disgusting. That's
clean.
disgusting now.
Have you ever had Korean fried chicken?
Don't say his name.
We said his name like 60. He was the first mention on this podcast in the first episode. It is his living room. I don't think it's whacking off porn. I think it's just sitting porn. I
Yeah,
know.
don't touch that.
The porn is holding it up. The porn is structural at this point.
Hmm.
Much like this podcast, the porn is structural. We're not going to do another porn episode. We can't do that twice.
I mean, with the 5 minutes that we just spent on, I think we're already halfway there.
Welcome to the See You Later Bitches podcast, where the first 30 minutes is porn, and it doesn't matter anyways. Jason, did you know I heard a factoid that's probably wrong on the internet this last week. We were talking about this, but I want to talk about it on camera. Um, damn it. You might find this
Deep
interesting.
dish.
You might find this interesting. Apparently, there's like 4 million podcasts posted every day, new, and 90% of them don't get past episode 10. He's a fake fan. He really is. This is episode 12. Sorry, this is episode 13. We recorded episode 12 last week. So
He's gonna look up He's gonna look
I
up
know
the
he's looking
facts
up like
right
I'm
now.
wrong, but I'm the editor and chief. I'm the CEO, chief editing officer. Don't jerk off. The porn's over here. You can't.
It's too funny. Don't even.
No, so I think it's admirable, and the people that were talking about it was like, yeah. So if you're doing a podcast, just keep doing it because most don't make it past 10. Like the struggle of timing it out every week, actually setting
Mhm.
it up, doing a wild or worthwhile podcast. I think we're episode 13, lucky number 13. Um, I foresee us doing it for a while because I
Yeah, we've been
enjoy
doing it for
talking.
months now, so yeah, I think we got the formula.
But
Worst
can you
case
imagine like
scenario, we got the formula down to get the episode through.
we took a break
Yeah, I
at
believe it was
11. It
2 weeks.
was supposed to be
Yeah.
10, but we took it at 11. Yeah, so I think it's admirable that we're at. I mean, pat myself on the back. We're at episode 13.
Hmm.
I still like that comment. That's we still. I bought a hard drive system last night. It's supposed to show up today. 18 terabytes of storage. Because my hard drives keep crapping out. So it's like I can't edit off of it now. It's too slow. So like whenever I'm editing on the timeline, it goes and so you can't edit because you can't see how it's running. You can't see like a cut because it'll go and then cut. And the cut's here. That makes sense to no one. So So I got 18 terabytes is not enough to store everything that I have, but it's enough to store everything that I have for me. It's enough to store Wanna Be Filmy.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a drive bin of 4 drives, so I can put 80 terabytes in one little box and edit from it as well. So it's fast enough and big enough to store and edit, which is a big deal, which is why it's kind of expensive. But it's worth it to me now. Anyway, so we should need to get on that short idea with the,
Oh, that's what you're going for. I was like, I don't know. Oh, shit. I don't know what story you're trying to aim at.
man, every time you set up this microphone, cut to the wide.
But
You
stop
set it up right.
burping. Excuse you.
Use my ass. Don't look at my ass.
What?
Was that in the wide? Yes. It looks like you looking at my
Oh,
ass. But you were gonna say it wasn't.
I don't care.
This podcast is going nowhere fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any notes, Jason?
Yes.
Oh,
So for
sorry,
the second question, I've been wanting to say, what are your thoughts being in the pool service? I know.
Jason. I know I just asked, but I have to cut you off because I have one last Texas story.
Okay, then go.
It's worth it, I think. So we flew in to Atlanta late. Well, no, we flew into North Carolina. Where's Charlotte? Charlotte's North Carolina? I've been lied to. We flew into North Carolina first for some reason because fucking American. Um, this donut's melting in my hand. Past Atlanta, yeah. Oh my god, I think this thing is shining into the camera.
Yeah, it's a shiny reflection.
I know, but I saw the line hitting it. Uh, Past Atlanta, came back. So when we were coming back, we were landing. We landed around 9 o'clock. Right. So you know how they do the flight announcements. You know, we'll be landing
Yeah.
at this time currently. Blah blah blah. We were landing, and the how do you say it? Flight attendant? Is that the
Mm-hmm.
PC term?
Yeah.
That bit didn't work out as it did in my head. Um, she was saying the time, and they're currently blah blah. The time just happened to be 9:11 when we were landing, and I feel like I'm the only one who noticed this. But she goes, and the current time is 9:11, and then the longest pause in all of history. And then she paused, because I guess I was in first class, I could see her, and she was like, da da da, and she like, and then she kept going. No reaction. We're on a podcast, Jason.
Oh, that was it.
9:11,
Okay.
and then she because she had to say the term 9:11 because that was the time, and she had the
Yeah.
longest pause afterward. Man, you're the worst co-host in the world.
Oh, I'm here thinking. Okay, never mind then.
9:11 on a
I
plane, Jason.
I'm here thinking it was
Do
gonna
I
be
have to
like.
write it out for you on the wall?
Well, yeah, I know it was 9/11, but I thought it was gonna be something like a little different. I thought it was gonna be something like time is 9/11.
Cut to me.
The time is 9:12, and then follow through. Because that reminds me of
Not everything's a
the
bit,
Chick-fil-A.
Jason.
Well, yeah, everything can be a bit when you make it a bit.
She
It's
didn't make it a
fun.
bit. She
Yeah,
just was nervous because she had to say 9:11 on a loudspeaker on a plane.
I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about that. My, I was gonna say that. Like, I feel like
She
she
couldn't
looked at
round
the
it up.
time and just said no. I feel like if she looked at the time, she should have waited just 1 second, like a good minute longer.
She didn't think about it, but then as soon as
Yeah.
she said the words 9:11, I saw her pause and like kind of like go like this, and then she just kept moving on. It was
My,
I was the only. My girlfriend didn't even notice. Like I was the only one because everyone else on the phones and stuff, and I was editing, so I had one ear open.
I genuinely thought it was gonna be one of those things like the time is 9/11, and someone's like, oh my gosh,
No,
start
she was
praying
the
to the
only. She and
gods.
I were the only ones who reacted that I could see
That's good.
because I
That's a
paused for it because
horrifying thing to think about though when you actually are in a plane. Could you imagine her saying 9/11 and then getting jet lag and then like having turbulence hit you right at the moment too? So
I'm
you
thinking of
feel
what jet lag is.
tired and then out of that actually yeah, because jet lag doesn't hit
I
you
was about to
till
say, what do you
after,
think jet
right?
lag is, Jason?
Yeah, hold on. I think I'm everything more going. Turbulence is what I'm thinking of. Could you imagine saying 9/11 and then turbulence just started
It's funny
striking like crazy?
that was the most turbulent flight I've ever been on too. So it
Mm.
was.
My favorite my favorite thing was we were flying to Florida and halfway there the pilot was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a little bit of turbulence, so everybody get back in your seats, and we'll be arriving in Florida in about 20 minutes." And as soon as I sat down and then I buckled my seatbelt, I looked to my right and I just see the sun just disappear, followed by black clouds. and I just feel the plane struggling to keep itself balanced. And I looked to my left and my right, and everyone else around me felt it too. They were like, "Oh shit, this is getting serious now." But my favorite part was looking to the right, and the guy pulled up his phone, texted his wife, and he's like, "Baby, I want you to know I
Oh my
love you."
god.
And then on the left was a guy who was on his phone. Well, I don't think he was not texting anybody important, but he was like, "Bitch, when I land, I land." And then he just went back to sleep. And I was like, I'm stuck in the middle. And so then we had to face
Stuck
turbulence.
in the middle with I.
Stuck in the middle with it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm stuck between a bad relationship and a good relationship, and I'm here neutral with nothing. And my favorite part about the very end of that too was the very moment. Oh, now you want to adjust it after I asked you 3 times. And
I
then
thought after 12, 13 episodes, you may be able to set up your own mic.
no, because I don't actually use my the mic to face myself on the camera, so I keep forgetting that that is a thing. And so I also remember at the very end of the Florida flight, we were gonna land, but then they were like, "We have not gotten the all clear sign. So if you guys are gonna be flying, circling around
Ooh,
until
like
we
Die
get the
Hard
clear
2.
sign." And I was
One,
like, "What does that even mean?"
2,
And
1.
we were on the
They
flight
were
for about
circling the airport
30
in the first one.
minutes.
What's the first one? Second one. Second one.
And then my favorite thing was like the moment he's like, "Okay, we got the clear sign. We're gonna land." And as soon as we cut through the clouds, straight storm, straight rain, heavy rain, storm. You feel the plane like just trying to land, and then the moment we land, I felt the jump that going doosh, and you were like, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Florida. We landed. Okay, we're gonna find the exit door, and we're just gonna get out of here." And I'm like, man, this man did not sound calm at the very end, and that was the funniest moment in my time at the airport because once we landed, I could hear them like rushing through everything. The door opened, everybody got out, and my brother picked me up, and I was like, "Hey, man, that was crazy. Like with the rain and stuff. How you guys doing over here?" And he looked at me. He's like, "Rain? Bro, the rain ended like an hour ago." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah. All right, let's go eat." And I was like, "The God, did you try to fuck with me? What happened here?" And so then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, rain didn't exist for like the past hour. All right, bye. Let's go, man. Let's go." And I was like, "Okay." But that was my fun trip. My return was simple. We just got on the plane. I took a nap, and then we landed. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, I thought about sleeping on one of the
It's not
planes,
worth it. My
but
neck hurts. My neck
well,
hurted the rest of the day when I landed.
because so I explained last week how I had to land and drive and drive and land. So I thought about sleeping, but then it was a first class ticket, so I'm not gonna waste that with sleep. I've never been in first class before. So, fun fact, again, could be wrong, but this I feel like this one's actually true. I think it is true for those who watching, for the one guy watching. Not one plane has ever gone down from turbulence. So for any nervous flyers out there, there's not been one plane crash due to turbulence.
No, but
I
it
say
is
that
a
very
bumpy
confidently,
ride.
as I'm now nervous that it might not be true, but I heard it from a pilot, so I'm fairly sure it's true.
Oh, pilot. I feel like pilots just have to say all the positive things because they're the one handling the
Well,
sky.
he's not a commercial pilot. He's just a pilot.
My I don't know. I always thought pilots are very, very, very funny and goofy.
All right, now that the podcast is over, what's your note for the restaurant? That so that's 1.5 podcast.
Hey,
Back to
what
me.
is the time?
Back to me. Back to me. Back to me. 1.5 podcasts of travel talk. I don't know what happened there with my voice. Go back to our topic. You've spoken this whole episode. You can't say 12:45.
How long has the video been
We gotta
going?
go to 1:15.
1:15.
Yeah.
So what is then? So
We
we're on the dot then. Okay then.
have to go to
Okay.
1:15.
So I did want to mention this beforehand. For any of the servers out there, I did have a genuine question. What are your thoughts on the pool system that comes into it?
He's saying pool for
Because
those who don't know.
because again, I understand if you work at a high end restaurant where you have to tip out the food runner, the the bussers, and the bartender, or 2 out of the 3. What are your genuine thoughts when it comes to the pool? Because I I've I've heard a lot of stories, both good and bad. And I understand the mentality behind not wanting to do the pool system because obviously the most obvious negative reason is, well, I don't want to be the one, pulling charge. I don't want to be the one on top of the game compared to everyone else. Versus the other side of it, which is when you have a lot of good team members, it doesn't even matter because you guys are probably going to be making the money you would have if you sold the whole night. So I just wanted to know what your genuine interest and like, are you for it? Are you against it? Is there something that you care about it, or is it one of those things where it stems like the old school mentality of I would rather pull with my own version of team or versus pulling it with a bunch of randos. So
My now you can continue what my bit on that is pulling sometimes is fine, and the complaints are just like whatever from the waiters. But the way that we've been doing it lately is we've had pools of 2 on nights that, just are kinda busy, and then any party has, like, 3 people on them, which, recently it's been faded down, but I think it's 'cause it's been really slow, but the average lately of the pooling has kinda been ridiculous. Even I can see that from even though I think I don't gain or benefit from pooling as a server assistant, but, it's getting a little ridiculous at this point with again, they have maybe it was an experiment because they have stopped doing pools of 2 lately.
I don't think it was. I think part of it is based on new rules from higher ups that are trying
Yeah,
to
no,
secure.
it's not our management.
Yeah, that's just trying to secure whatever big events we have.
Long ass sprinkle.
And then I did have another genuine question for the bussers.
Go ahead.
I know bussers. I mean, obviously, if you look at high end bussers, do make a decent amount of money, enough to even just warrant it as an actual job and not need to get a second one. But I did have a question for you guys.
Oh,
What are your thoughts of overstepping your job boundaries?
oh god.
For what I mean by that is, the only reason I ever got good at like serving drinks and serving anything was because we did have one server who, you can tell he had gotten a new job, and so he was phasing out that mentality of like actually being a server. So he was kind of pushing everything to us, and obviously it was annoying because it wasn't part of my job. It was not part of anything that we had to do. But I did learn how to manage multiple drinks at the same time. I did learn how certain drinks were made and what needed to be done with them. And then obviously also the usual, how to garnish these drinks. But I always thought, are you guys willing to overstep when it comes to learning something new about the industry that you can actually take home, or is it an automatic no? Do you guys just like, I get paid for this one position, I get paid for this certain amount of tasks, and that's it?
I think it's very per person, and for me,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the task. Like, there's been a huge for some reason, it's a huge issue with, like, polishing glasses lately. Like, that's a waiter's job. But now all of a sudden, the waiters are wanting us to start doing this now, and some of the management. And I know it's, "Oh, I polish whatever, polish glasses, big deal." But to me, it's the bit where we do only get paid for a certain amount of things, and if there's only in a restaurant, there's, like, 6 things to do. If we're already doing 3 of them, because half and half, then to have 4 out of 5 4 out of 6 be put on us with no extra pay is straight like, yeah, we get paid to do not very much in terms of physical work, but that's all we're getting paid to do, like, that's all there is to do. That's the job. So to add another thing into it with with nothing extra is like
I will say that busters do get, essentially just like servers. Once the big wave comes in, they were pretty much the first ones thrown in along with us. But I will say this: when it comes to busing, there is a different level of mentality that comes to being busy. It's the light over there. When
oh,
it comes
nice.
to being busy, as for servers, it's a multitask mental game that kind of comes through. As for the bussers, it actually becomes a bit more reliant on the physical timing of doing tasks. Obviously clearing the tables, getting the drinks. When it comes to like waters and knowing
I'm wearing that.
which is which for each table. So that's also why I wanted to know, like, since you guys are already doing so much, is that something you guys are willing to be comfortable with learning a little extra steps? Not to benefit the servers, but to benefit you and your skills. Because, like I said, uh, when it came to like learning drinks and stuff, I took that shit home with me. I took that shit home with me because I think learning how to like handle drinks and like how to bartend, as well as like picking up plates, is something that became a life skill for me because it's so much easier to cook like a madman and then pick everything up at one go and just dump it into the plate versus what I used to do, which was like grab 3 plates. Now I can pick up like 18 plates and then just pots and pans and just throw it into the wash so I can wash them later and have a clean kitchen.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I've explained this to someone else before. That's one of the main reasons I haven't tried to be a waiter yet. I keep staring at the light. Like the eclipse all over again. And
Wait, no one's a Berserk fan.
what?
Nothing.
Speak into the mic or speak up into the mic. I'll just turn it up later and listen to you. Whatever you said, I can hear it.
Yeah.
I'll hear it later in the edit.
Yeah, you're still not gonna get it because when you said Eclipse, I was like, but I was like, no one's a Berserk fan here. No one knows what that means.
Yeah, great. That wasn't even worth it. Wasn't even worth pointing out.
Exactly.
Already lost the train of thought. Oh, I pretty much chose filming over trying to be a waiter because at this point, and it could easily change because that's what I would do. I would take it home. I would try to learn everything outside the restaurant. I would try to things I don't have time for if I'm also editing and filming because I'm not going to be a bad waiter. So if I'm not going to be a good one, I'm not going to do it at all. Is where I'm at.
Okay.
Because for me, a bad waiter doesn't know what's in the drinks, doesn't know the menu, that kind of thing. So I know the menu. Um,
I mean, I believe that, but I also think if you're not gonna follow through with the job of being a server, it's also based on the financial mentality behind it. Because again, everybody already knows servers make tips and stuff. But as a busser, you kind of already know you're having somewhat of a safety net
yeah,
when it comes to the pull system, not pull system, when it comes to the tip system that you guys have. And so as a server, again, if you're not, it is like real estate. It is like any of those jobs where you're kind of based on commissions. If you're not taking it seriously, if you're not focusing on it, well, then you're gonna have a terrible sense of commission. In other words, you're gonna have a bad paycheck at the very end.
it's worse than commissions because most
Yeah,
commissions is like what 10-20%. You guys get. Oh no, it's 10-20%. Never mind.
yeah,
Wait a minute. That
yeah,
was
10,
exact.
twenty
No, because
percent
I was thinking what I get. I get 2%. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah, yeah, and again, it could be bad because if you're someone who just has a go-to, just mentality of like, okay, I know everybody's gonna buy a piece of steak, and I know everyone's gonna get a beer, and a steak and a beer combo is like $20 for 5 people. That yeah, that's 100, but if they give you a 20% tip, that's $20.
Yeah.
No matter how you view it, that's still a bad service on yourself, you know.
Well, I mean, unless they're only there for 30 minutes, then you made $40 an hour.
Well, yeah, if they're there for 10 minutes, yeah, but
30.
that's not really what the mentality behind it is. Because
It should be
again,
though, because I've noticed that none of the waiters think about their job as in how much they're making an hour. They just think, oh, this table give me five,
oh
ten
no, yeah, of course,
dollars.
yeah, yeah, of course. No, that's also why a lot of people get confused about the tip system in general because they're like, you're gonna be making the same equivalent as a doctor if everyone does this and that and that. I'm like, first of all, it's a guessing game, and second of all, you are also correct because that is how a genuine job system is set up. You know, there are days where you can walk in as a server, have a slow day, work 3 hours, and you can get cut and go home, and you're like, well, that was it for me. And then you can also, damn it, I hate to mention this, or you could be like me who worked 3 hours, got cut, and looked at his phone and realized that he technically made $100 an hour because all he had was 3 tables and they tipped
Exactly.
100 and he get to walk out.
That's the one.
But that's the based on the perspective mentality, and that's why you have those grouchy servers who are like, I'm not making enough money today, and I'm like,
But how much
okay,
did you make
but
yesterday?
how much? Not just no, not even just
Just like
yesterday, like
metaphorically, how much
like
did you make yesterday? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yesterday, and how much are you planning today? Because if it is like oh, I just have 4 tables, but the tip they gave you is like almost $40 an hour essentially for those 4 tables. That is a pretty
and that's
good
how it
deal
always works out. And that's why I never understand about the waiters
with the
because
waiters. Oh yeah,
it
well
always works out that way. That at the end of the year, it makes it up.
Yeah, well, depends on if you're getting paid with your taxes. Because that is one of the issues I actually noticed about becoming a service is at the end of tax year, you're gonna get fucked over one way or another, which I always thought was pretty sad. But when it comes to
I mean, if you
sure,
get 0 taxes back, that means paid all your taxes properly.
exactly,
Like, if
yeah,
you getting money back isn't a good thing in the US. It means you
yeah,
paid too much on it's basically what is it? It's like
yeah. But then you get the
a
opposite.
0 interest loan
Yeah, yeah. But then you get the opposite where
to the
you're
government who bombs
yeah, and then you get the
innocently.
opposite where you do somewhat well on cash tips and stuff, but then next thing you know, the government's like, "Well, you owe us money because obviously you didn't pay us the right amount,"
Yeah, so you
and
just
then
gotta
you're
pay them the
stuck
right
with
like, it
that.
just if you always put a third not a third, if you always put, like, 20% away, there's no way your taxes are gonna be more than 20%. So you just that's what you give at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter. You can pay it quarterly.
I mean, yeah, but not everybody can put away 20%. That kind of just push
What if you
reliance
have to?
on the. There's a difference between have to and need to and then want to.
No, have to as in not go to jail for taxes.
Yeah, I know, but
That's what I'm
to
saying,
make
like,
it up,
it's uh, it's definitely not a problem in this restaurant. You do the taxes and then you do your bills.
yeah.
There's no way they're gonna overcome maybe per day they'll overcome, but there's no way it overcomes everything, like housing and bills and taxes. You can put away the amount because you have to. Like, that's how it works.
What? Wait, what?
For well, at least for tips. I'm not talking about, like well, no, because wait, maybe I'm talking about irrelevant stuff. Because our restaurant pays the taxes for us on each check, right?
They're supposed to, yes.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
It's a scary way to phrase that. Yeah, no, so never mind. So they do that on your own, so you don't have to put anything away.
Well, yeah.
Well, I
But
guess maybe 10% just in case for that tax season, but
exactly, yeah. But that's also falls into certain areas of like, well, did you work and did you actually make enough to actually warrant the pay? Because those moments where you can just work almost 5 hours and all you had was two tables and with tip on and everything, you're walking away with like $15.
that's why I said per day doesn't it's per year or per quarter.
Exactly. So that's what I mean though. But like, there's also some certain mentalities where like it's also like if you're not gonna make up with the tip system and hourly is not gonna help you in that mentality, but then you are gonna be slowly slipping behind one way or another, whether it's become months, bills, light bill, or just straight up just needing things to live like food and all that.
Legally,
And then on
restaurants have to pay you minimum wage, include, like, with the
yeah,
tips
but
you get.
not all.
Huh? What
Yeah, but some of them still don't.
are you talking about?
Like when it comes to corporate jobs in general, corporates will hold out the longest to actually give you minimum wage.
No.
They will entirely be like, "We're gonna follow through with the minimum promise. We just have to do the paperwork."
No, 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 that's not
And then the
how
paperwork can
that's
take about
not how
one,
it
2
works.
hours.
That's not how it
And
works.
then
That's not how it works.
in some certain areas well, yeah, of course it's against the laws, yeah.
No, I'm saying that's not how it works. They put money into your check if you don't make minimum that's what I'm saying. Here, they never make under minimum wage, but if you don't make minimum wage, they have each check they have per hours, they have to give you 7.25 per hour minimum.
Maybe there's something I'm missing here.
Yeah, you never make
Yeah.
under minimum wage is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying. So if because the 2.15 or whatever it is an hour, if that plus your tips doesn't equal 7.25, your check will reflect a 7.25 an hour minimum because that's the minimum wage. They have to give you that, which is obviously not enough to live. So
Yeah, yeah.
restaurants that don't like because I'm sure there's some waiters in some restaurants like a Taco Mac somewhere that doesn't make 7.25 one day. Their check is reimbursed. Is they're given their actual pay at 7.25. Like it doesn't. That's why raising the minimum wage would be great for everybody. Well, except for small businesses, but um, because if that means they have say they raise it to what California did, $15 an hour, that means they have to give you at least 15 if you don't make that in tips. Like
Mhm.
it affects waiters too. It's not just
Oh,
people
so
who
that's a
make
very good
7.25
thing
an
that
hour.
oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, because they legally have to give you 7.25 an hour.
Oh, that's really, really good.
So if
Okay,
they bump
thank
that
the
up
heavens.
federally or Georgia's probably not gonna do it on its own. But can a city make its own minimum wage? Yeah, but California did it. I know it can do per state, but can it do per cityship? Can Atlanta make a minimum wage for Atlanta? Can they require it? I don't know if it's like if it has to be because I know a state can do it. California just did it or last year or whatever.
And what do you mean by state by poor? Like, are you talking about like, oh,
Like minimum wage in
our
California
version of
is
the minimum wage?
$15 an hour.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's okay.
Just like
That makes me
states can have
very,
legal
very
weed even though
happy.
it's federally illegal. The states and the federal law is separate, but federal supersedes in some ways.
That makes me very happy to know about that.
Yeah, you can't
'Cause
make.
I still believed in the old mentality. Well, I mean, granted, I mean, I think we mentioned this before, but I've been so out of because I only have one safety job, and that was pretty much it. But
Mhm.
after that safety job was gone, I just kinda got thrown into the hoops of trying to figure out where everything is at today
Yeah, that's
versus
why
where
when
everything
the
was at.
waiter. I'm sorry, we finished. I cut
No,
you
no,
off.
I just done where everything was at.
That's why when the waiters complain about only making $2.50 an hour, they don't. They make minimum wage, and then if they bare minimum, they make a minimum wage. So that no one makes $2.50 an hour. That's not how it works. You make minimum wage, and then if you don't, you do. So they can complain about making minimum wage, I guess, but they don't because they make $40 an hour some days.
Well, I can see where the issue lies then. But I think at that point, they should relies on the not even on the service, but on just how the day goes out.
It's just people who like to complain,
Yeah. Oh,
which is
I mean,
everybody.
obviously, yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
likes to complain.
The genuine complainers, we don't have to
I'm
worry
complaining
about
right
them.
now. That's what this
Yeah.
podcast is. Complain.
Yeah, at that point, genuine complainers are just complainers. There's nothing about it. You can just listen to their story and see why they're complaining, but at the end of the day, that's all it is.
Here's a question: if we have a guest again, which I want to, where are they going to sit?
In the middle. That's what we have this for.
Ugh,
We also
that's
do have
awkward as
that
shit.
chair. And then also, I don't know
No,
if
I
you've
guess that'll be
noticed,
fine.
we can move these chairs side by side.
Yeah, but I can
All
do
right.
like this one.
Any last words you wanted to mention? Any
No, we still
last
got a few. We
things?
just still got a couple minutes.
Alright, so since we still have time, I did want to mention this one last thing. I know I've been
I was gonna say.
bombarding everybody with a lot of questions for these podcasts, only because we haven't really done it. Well, I personally haven't even asked a lot of questions in the past couple of ones. So I would like to engage with a lot of people and see what their responses are.
Engage.
And so I got one more thing to kind of chime into it. It's on the top of the head.
If you don't remember, I have a story.
Okay then. Yeah, no. The last thing is, what are your thoughts on a morning? Actually, no. I have a genuine question. What are your thoughts on a restaurant forcing different shift times? For example, if a restaurant excels a lot and just has a night, like dinner service, and then they open to the lunch service slash breakfast service. How do you feel about that? Like, are you okay with being pulled for double shifts, or is it something you're just like, well, I don't want to do any of that because I would rather like find an actual morning restaurant that caters to the mornings, and then just tell my other job to just focus me on dinners because I don't
So you're
ever
gonna
want to
say
be stuck
fuck off.
between.
My other
And,
job to fuck off.
obviously, essentially, that is essentially what you want to tell that job. Just fuck off. I don't want to do that morning thing with you guys because I know how it's going to turn out. And then vice versa if they ended up opening dinner and all that. I want to know what your opinion is on that. Then what was the story that you wanted to mention?
All these questions and no answers.
Hmm.
Comment.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what we're gonna
that's
call our
that's what they're gonna
audience?
do. Comment,
You know what our audience is called?
I guess.
Bitches. We're all bitches here. We're all bitches down here. Where's the
Yep.
clown mask? Oh, you cut away from me.
Uh, Clown mask.
We all float down here. It? Nobody?
No, I never got to see it.
Any it crowds in the place?
Nah.
IT crowd? Um, I never watched the movie.
So then, how do you know?
I know the references. We have the internet.
Okay,
You don't need to watch movies anymore to get the references.
that's sad.
So bleep.
You put the names again.
That's the bleep.
I know. Yes.
This is who the story's about. So that's for the rest
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
You have to know that. Oh. So I was sitting down with her, folding napkins and such. Slow day. And we started talking. I don't know why. She asked me. Oh, I was writing. I was writing the script for the desert thing. I was working on that thing for like a long time. So I was at work in the back fixing up the script and writing out the storyboard. And she asked me about it, sitting there, and she was like, "Oh, you do movies?" And she knew I did. I've told her this before, so I don't know why she asked again. I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, Orlando used to do movies. I was like, "Yeah, I know. We've made movies together." She goes, "Oh, you two make movies?" I was like, "Yeah, you wanna see one?" And she goes, "No." And then, like, immediate, like, the fastest answer she's ever get, "No."
Yeah.
And then she goes back to it. I was like, I started laughing. I was like,
I adore
"Okay."
her so much.
She I can't, it was so, I don't know how to picture it exactly for you, but she was like, ask me,
No,
you wanna
I know
see,"
exactly what you mean. The no, and then the walk
but she
away.
didn't mean it. No, she just sat there, but she didn't, she said it just so genuinely, just like, "No."
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I
I don't
That's
know
what I
how else to
adore
say it.
about her so much is that she's so genuine with her words.
Like, she wasn't trying to be funny. She wasn't, it was just like, and she sat, she, 'cause the funniest bit was, like, it was such a turn left, because she was acting interested in what I was talking about. And I said, "Oh, you wanna see Orlando's movie?" She go, "No."
No, I'm glad he does it, but I don't want to see any of it.
It was so
No,
funny.
my favorite moment was food was being brought out for us to eat,
That's
and
rare.
she was checking out to see what food they cooked, and one of the servers was walking right next to her, and she asked him like, how did you eat?" And he was like, "No, yes, I have eaten." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Eaten. I've eaten already." And she's like, "What? What is that? Eaten?" Like, "No, eaten. It's just a way past tense, you know. I already ate." And she was like, "Oh, okay, okay." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, eaten, it's past tense, it's a way of saying that I have already eaten, again, he was trying to describe the word to her, and she's like, she did this. She's like, "Okay, okay, whatever." And he was like, well, I just want to teach you a little bit of the English, I know English is a difficult language to learn, you could, but it's okay to learn a few extra words." And she's like, "Yeah, okay." And I looked at him, and he looked genuinely insulted. He's like, "What the fuck did I do? What was this anger coming from?" And then her short self just started stumbling away, and I was like, "Oh, oh." You can't generally get mad at her because she has that elderly energy now.
Energy.
Yeah, if she, I honestly, with all of my heart, if she could retire, I would tell her, just retire, girl, just retire, be happy, enjoy the rest of your life and stuff. Because she has that sweet old lady soul now. Uh, I think that is all the time we have left. Is that correct?
No, we got a few minutes. I don't know why you keep cut it short.
Because I was mentioned twice that we had 15 minutes, and no one has kept me updated since.
No, I said
No,
1:15,
exactly. And you said we were on one at the dot, or
which
did you mean by
means,
time, like the actual time? Okay, I meant time on the video, not time on the actual
Jason, I
tense.
don't, you're not producing. I don't know what you're trying to produce, my guy. You're just a talent. You don't need to be on it.
Because I would like to know so we don't cut the so we don't cut the podcast short.
On this-
And again, I just wanted to iterate with all the questionings. I know I just wanted to
What
keep
the-
talking about it. I know we do have one more. Is there anything else you wanted to mention restaurant wise, or did you have another story from Texas or anything like that? Because
Why did you have one more thing for a restaurant?
just only one minor thing was, again, it was
Because we'll end
with
on that.
the elderly lady.
We'll end on that then.
So the third story with the elderly lady made me laugh so much more.
I'll go first.
Um, okay, so
I'll go
okay
first so we
then,
end on that. We still got more time, Jason. So I'm
yeah,
telling
okay
you.
then go.
Oh God, what's happening? We're falling apart at episode 13. Um, it's not really. I guess it's not really an Austin or Texas story, but I think I'm gonna break the news because I don't know why I try to keep it like hidden. Um, the idea for the future of the podcast that we talked about. I want to talk about it
Okay,
because I think it's gonna happen. So I want to discuss it. So just like when I was rating the pizza on my own time, my own vlog, we had the idea to start to change the setting of this podcast like we originally did. We were bouncing all over the place. It wasn't original, I guess. It was like episode 8. And go into some restaurants and record a podcast from a restaurant and then review the restaurant. And that comes from, it was, we had the idea before I went to Austin, and then now making Atlanta my Austin. Yeah, that's right. I uh I think this is a good venue for that because it's still, I was, so what do you think? Because this is the question for you, Jason. Is there room for that in this podcast, or is that a whole separate thing that we should try to do? Because I don't know if we should. I don't know if we should make it on this podcast or if it should be a separate thing.
So the idea Dylan was running by is essentially, yes, we are planning to see how far we can go when it comes to the terms of actually getting closer to the restaurant business, and of course, eventually sitting there and dining them, and I don't know, I don't think we ever talked about actually giving them a rating, but
We did.
so giving them a rating, or essentially just figuring out the whole vibe of how the restaurant is. And since we are here in Atlanta, we have a lot of restaurants that we can go to because it is one of the culture here is that it's a very big mom pa mentality. And because of that, there's very, very, very huge varieties that we can go from. Even some similar varieties, such as going to just burger places being different, uh, fries being different, ice creams and desserts being different. The only thing we wanted to know is that something that can be work as a podcast wise, or is that something that we should actually take the idea and flipping it to a whole different channel? To me, I personally think that we can kind of do both, having the environment be the podcast and then having the food reaction and all that kind of flipping itself into more of our uh
Oh, that's a really good
more and
idea.
more into our social media presence, being along with Instagram, TikTok, and I don't know if Twitter would actually be okay with that, because I know Twitter is
No,
more
hold
like
on.
about scrolling and like
Twitter's fine.
reading.
So that's a really good idea because I never thought about that. We do 2 at 1.
Hmm.
We do an episode of the podcast at the restaurant and then say, "All right, go check our review of this." Well, is that a good idea? That was splitting up the content a good idea?
I mean, we're already splitting up a lot of things as it is, even then with all, I mean, we are splitting the content because, as we have mentioned before, Dylan has multiple videos that goes on multiple channels that he works on. A lot of it doesn't really follow the podcast. A lot of it doesn't really have any themes that deal with the podcast in any way. It's just his own individual. And then as for me, I have my stream that I kind of follow through. And even if you guys catch me on my stream, you guys already know that I don't really even speak too much about the restaurant business in there, let alone have any mentions of it.
Well, this is now sausage talk, I guess. But so let's do this then. Let's try it that way, where we split the content, and if
Hmm.
that fails and anyone ever watches it and they say, "You guys should do it all in one,"
Then we
it'd
can
much
balance
it'd be
it like
much
at
easier
one.
to congregate it versus split it up later. It's easier to put it together later than split it up later.
Yep. And I do believe, like, if we are doing a podcast where we are allowed to do videos of anything. So as we mentioned before, a lot of the things that I believe, when it comes to the podcast, I think that a lot of us would want to just focus on the live moments that happens, again, being with service, being with the environment, just seeing what it's like to sit there and have comfortable, and obviously immersing ourselves in the restaurant.
I like the
Whereas
idea
the
of splitting it up.
genuine food review can probably just be the main rating and review. Small reviews could be in our social medias. Because
It
again,
could be
I'm
more
not.
short form.
Yeah, and also I don't know how long we can really talk about certain plates. Like, obviously, if ever came to main courses, we can talk almost hours on it to figure out what we like about it, what we dislike about it, and how to nitpick it. But if we're talking about appetizers, maybe drinks and desserts and stuff like that, I'm not sure how far that can really go.
See, that's why so that's why we use 2 brains because I could that never occurred to me. In my head, we would talk normal stuff like this and then mix in reviews of the food into the
Hmm.
normal podcast, but it didn't quite sit. That's why I was thinking, like, it might have been right for this podcast, but to do one of these at a restaurant and then review it on a separate video, I think I like that idea a lot.
Hmm.
I think it works.
And I don't believe we mentioned this either, but look, well, he did mention the first part. The fact that we're still doing this is already a milestone on its own. Regardless of the view count, regardless of the subscriber count, just the fact that we're still being consistent with this is um is an achievement. And because of that, I still believe that we have an opportunity to still flourish and to do anything that we can, because this is still somewhat the early stages of our podcast, which means that we can still change things up, so we can change the environment. Hell, we can even change the angle if you want, because what we can do is just flip everything
What?
over here and feel like it fits.
Maybe you should leave sooner.
And then,
There was a podcast I listened to. It's over now. I'm not gonna keep bragging on about it, but it went on for 16, 15 years, and they were talking about recently because it's over now. That they're talking about they're reviewing the first times doing their podcast, and they were like, "Yeah, we didn't even." You can't drag that across the floor; it scratches. We didn't even. We recorded 10 podcasts before we posted any of them. We didn't post the first 10. We never have
Yeah.
because they want, like you were talking about, they wanted to get in the groove and then post it. And they were talking about how you do not and should not post the first thing you do, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because we absolutely posted the first version.
Yeah, that's always an internet thing, is to never post the first thing you do. It's not it's, it because the main objective is that you will be made fun of.
Ah,
Because
shit.
because of that mentality of like, well, this is how you're gonna present yourself in the product that you're going to be using. And that's why a lot of people are very afraid when it comes to posting things. And that's why if you ever seen any other YouTubers or anyone who does something like this professionally, in the terms of professionalism, they will come in and say, just focus on making that one video and please do it, redo it, redo it, redo it until you find a genuinely good one. And it is universal because that's what I did with streaming too. I don't keep most of my stream videos only because I didn't have any capacity to do so because when I started it, all I had was an old phone that really couldn't update it. Two, keeping all that in my phone was a hassle and a pain when I had to do iMovie clips on the phone because you can do it on the phone. It's just a very pain in the ass. It's very kind of hard to
Yeah,
nitpick.
I really just like touch screen editing.
And then the third thing also was in the mentality of like, well, I don't think my audience is bigger than this, so I don't see any reason to kind of spread out. But this whole month has been kind of the complete wall thrown towards me of reminding me that a lot of the content that I want to shell out isn't necessarily bad. It just needs to be polished. And again, I did wanted to uh, note this is that there is one thing I kind of wish I did do, which was save some of the podcasts and VODs because what were they? Oh, Dark Souls 2 will always have a favorite spot in my heart. Again, I don't doubt anyone is ever gonna remember this because it was just like I don't think it was even me. I don't even think I had no views at that point. But that was my first game that I ever streamed, and that was after weeks and weeks of trying to get Uncharted 2 and Dark Souls 2 were the two games, and it was back to back. I'm trying to figure out how I meld this together, and I remember getting a lot of cringe comments on that one before they disappeared. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get the groove of this eventually.
No, you just gotta wait this
Eventually.
whole time because the LCD. Because I don't know what it is with that camera, but it keeps changing its own settings.
Yeah, it's fine. It wants to be different.
I was trying to get dog in the shot. Anyway, we're running out of battery now because we're this is a battery podcast for some reason. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you see my dog, this is her blanket, but she wanted to sit next to me.
no one
I
cares.
thought it'd be good.
Outro.
Yeah. So for the outro, again, thank everybody for coming on in. Even if it was for a minute, it does mean a lot to us. And as always, may y'all have a beautiful morning, a wonderful afternoon, a pleasant evening, and a peaceful night. Dylan's links will be right over here, along with my
Nope, we've already
links.
done that. It's already passed.
And then, okay. And so
Cut to
then,
me. Thanks for watching. Because I know there's a few people, 2, 3, 10, whatever. Uh, don't say one. I want to do this for a long time, and I've recently learned. What have I learned? What was I gonna say? Hold on. I want to do this stuff for a long time, and we need people to make that a reality. And so if
you
you're,
should be put them-
it's true. No, cut to me. This is my time now. My time down here. Up. What is it? What's the Goonies? What is it? My time now. Anyway, another movie I haven't seen.
You haven't seen the Goonies? What? It's a cult classic. I don't remember anything from the Goonies, but I remember
We
it
need
being a cult
people.
classic. It was really, really
Your mic
good.
is cut now because I'm the editor. We need people to make this happen. Your people, if anyone's hearing this now, leave a comment. Say I'm here. I'll remember you. Maybe 10, 10 years from now when we're still doing this, and you're some of the first. All right. So This is gonna be big. Not this podcast, but in general, online presence. If online still exists in 10 years, I feel it cooking. All right. So thank you because you started it.
It felt like a revolution speech. Like, we need people. We need people like you. Please tell your friends, tell your families. We'll remember you in 10 years.
Stay on the wide because the other two cameras about to die. Bye.
Take care.
Now we do this slow. I gotta lean in
Yeah.
like it's 90s. Oh, thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
doing this. It's a good story. Good story.
Shoulder's killing me. I need to buy a new